Thank you everyone so much for being here today. We are lucky enough to have with us today Dr. Gerardo Lopez. We're going to read his biography really fast before we give him the floor. So Dr. Jerry Lopez was born in Laredo, Texas, but raised in Nuevo Laredo, Tamaulipas, Mexico. He moved to the United States at the age of 9 and embarked on his new life as a migrant and bilingual student, cannery worker, and educator. He completed his higher education at San Jose State University. There he earned a bachelor in arts and history and Spanish, and a master's in administration and supervision. He followed this by obtaining his doctoral degree in education leadership at UC Berkeley. He has taught children from kinder through high school, been a reading specialist, resource teacher, district coordinator, college professor, principal for preschool, elementary, and high school continuation, and migrant education program manager at the Santa Clara County Office of Education. Dr. Jerry has also provided staff development as well as presentations for thousands of parents and students on a wide variety of topics. His avocations are history, collecting historical artifacts, and performing traditional Mexican music programs. He is a man with a wonderfully supportive wife, Carmen, and 2 incredible sons, Pablo, age 26, and Diego, age 17. We thank you so much, Dr. Lopez, for taking time to be with us today, and please take us away.
Sounds good. Oh my goodness, I was impressed just looking at the at my own bio. I don't know if you ever get that feeling, but I got it today. Thank you so much. That was very generous of you. So let's start today. And first of all, happy Father's Day to everybody, those of us who are fathers and those of us who are watching and joining us today. It's coming up in a couple of days, and no better way than to celebrate Father's Day than to remember the great responsibility, the great benefit, and the great influence that we have on our family, especially our children. And so today we're going to embark on a little track of what are the benefits of being a father. I'm going to share also from my own personal experience being the father of 2 wonderful boys, Pablo and Diego. You're going to get to meet them later. And I'm going to express to you how they've influenced my life and how I have influenced their lives. But first of all, we'll take a quick look at the importance of a father in the family unit. It seems like mothers get all the attention. Yeah, we're not going to get any flowers or cards or anything like that. I got to tell you, Father's Day is one of the least celebrated holidays. It's sad, I know. Valentine's over us, Easter is over us. I think even Groundhog's Day is over us, okay? It's that sad. But we do have a great influence. And yeah, we have to be stoic and quiet and sub rosa, and you might say behind the scenes, but that doesn't mean that we don't have an influence on our family. Men, fathers have a strong influence in their family, whether it be a traditional family unit or whether it be a joint family unit or even a stepfather or even a single parenting kind of situation. We still have a great influence on the family and especially on our children. So I want you to think of children in this way: trees. Okay, so a tree, the child is a tree. Children need an opportunity to grow and develop to their full potential. They are trees. They are going to bear fruit. They need to reach to the heavens. They need to build strong trunks, and then just in many ways extend to as many opportunities and endeavors as possible. They need to be healthy. They need to be strong. They need to be trees. Now, what does a tree need? Well, the tree needs soil, okay? Now, in this case, since we're using the metaphor of a tree as a child or a child as a tree, the soil is the home environment. Also, the resources and nutritional elements around that home environment. We're talking school, we're talking community opportunities and services, libraries, we're talking anything, churches, organizations, clubs, sports, anything that's around that child becomes the soil and around that home. And that soil will determine the development of that child. How tall is that tree, that child going to grow? How many opportunities and areas is the child going to stretch and develop into, reach for? That's what determines it. So you have trees, then you have the soil. You think, well, that's a natural gimme. That's a no-brainer. That happens naturally. No, it doesn't happen naturally, because in order for a tree to benefit from the soil, it needs roots. It needs roots. And that's where mom and dad come in. And since we're focusing on fathers, that's where moms, fathers, and mothers provide a strong foundation and an anchor to the rich soil that will determine the growth and productivity of the child. Because I gotta tell you, children need that connection, need that foundation, need somebody to anchor them to their resource, to literally be the conduit, to be the bridge to those resources. You know, as I'm working with a lot of librarians lately, you know that you can have the best collection, the best library, the best anything in the world, the best collections of any theme in any media that you have available. But if the parents don't bring those children to the library, it's for naught. It's just a nice warehouse of a bunch of good stuff that you have, but nobody's there to use it. So we need the mothers and the fathers. We need the, now a lot of people say, well, there's a lot of successful children who grew from single mother households. I know many of those. My mother herself was a single mother for a while. But yes, but we then have to devote on extraordinary women, strong women who are doing really the jobs of father and mother. And why ask women to do that? If there's a father in the scene, if there's a family, a father in the home, even if it's a divorce situation, the father should and still needs to be involved in order for the child to benefit the most from that situation. Why? Because children need to grow. They are trees that are waiting to bear fruit, and they are soiled that there's so much that they need to benefit and seek nutrition from it, but they need the roots, and the father is essential enough. So now we're going to look at what is the effect of an absent father on boys and girls. An absent father doesn't mean, oh, I never knew my father. No. The worst absent father is the one that's present at home every day. He's just not engaged. Even in, I know a couple of my friends who are coming from broken families, and they're not broken. The families are just split. It sometimes it's beneficial for two couples to not be together. Although there are studies that show that children will have an effect from any divorce, even if it's amicable. But those effects can be ameliorated if parents decide in a friendly manner to co-parent. So even if you're in a co-parenting situation, you can still have an influence on your boys and your girls. And if you're a dad at home with mom and the children, you could still be absent even if you live in that household. You can just be absconded, hidden in your room, in your little man cave. We don't have chance for that, and we don't have the option for that. Our children and little girls will be affected negatively if we do not become involved with our children. So what is the effect on boys? Boys need the modeling of a good father to define their character, their personality and behaviors. Okay, now character, what's character? What's inside of them? What's inside? Think of all the good things of a child. Is he hardworking? Is he pensive? Is he patient? Is he honest? Is he respectful? That's his character. Usually the things that you cannot see are inside of him. All right. Personality is everything that you see outside. Is he active? Is he thankful? Is he thoughtful and, offers a seat to you or whatever? The outside, though, that's his personality. And then there are his behaviors. The behaviors are determined by both his character and his personality. So we know that boys, our children, our young men are being affected by our modeling. Once again, whether we're there present in modeling, look at this dad showing his son how to tie a tie, okay, or whether we're absent, even though we're there in the home. They're going to learn from that. They're going to learn a dad's job is to be absent. A job's dad is to be absconded. It's to be hidden. It's to be in his own little area and let everything run by its own. Now, this will happen naturally. In the absence of a father, boys look to media and their peers for such modeling. If we don't have an active father that's in front of us saying, you know what, my dad was so cool, I always saw him do this and treat mom like this. There's a saying that the best thing that a father can do is love the mother. True, that's one of the things that he can do. There's many, many other things. He can love his children and be present every day in the life of his children. But in the absence of a father, boys will look to the media, to movies, television, and music, and their peers for such modeling. So our job is incredible. Realize that this will happen naturally. They will naturally kind of gyrate their vision away from us as fathers at about the age of 12 or 13, adolescence. This will happen naturally, and they will start looking at their peers more than their fathers. So what does that mean to us, dads? It means that we really only have about 12, 13 years to earn their trust, to earn their respect, their direction. Okay? So we don't have a lot of time. 13 years goes by very fast. I got to tell you, my son just graduated last Thursday from high school. My other son graduated 2-3 years ago from Santa Clara University with a math and history degree. And I can't believe that my little boys are now grown men. It goes by fast. And I think I have earned their trust. I think I have earned their respect. I think I have earned their admiration. And I'll introduce them to you, so that way you see that it takes a lot to do that. It's something that you have to be determined and dedicated to doing. So it just doesn't happen by happenstance. You need to be an active, good father. Now, that's the boys. What about the girls? What's the effect of an absent father on boys and girls? Girls need the example of a father to determine what the character, personality, and behaviors of a future mate might be. We all know this, that eventually we kind of end up marrying our parents. I hate to think of it that way, but it's true. Now that I've been married for 27 years, I looked at my wife and I say, my goodness, I think I married my mom. And she looks at me and she says, my goodness, I think I married my father. Luckily, I happen to admire my mom, and I thought she was a wonderful lady. And she happens to admire her father, and she happens to think that he was a wonderful man. So we didn't luck out, we chose correctly. Why? Because our parents, our fathers and mothers influence that upon us. When you get married, look for somebody who's going to treat you this way, who's going to talk to you this way, who's going to have this influence in your life. One thing that I tell my boys is look for somebody in your future that's going to make you better. Look for somebody in the future that's going to make you better. All right. So this is very important for young ladies. Now realize this, your father figure is only one half of what's going to determine who you're going to be married. Study after study shows that there is dating. The first person that you date has an incredible imprinting aspect on you. That means, young lady, that when your daughter comes and says, I want to marry somebody, I want to go out with somebody, just start dating him, my first boyfriend, and they're 13, 14, 15, 16, however you want to let them date. I don't have daughters, I only have sons. But if I had a daughter, she wouldn't date till like she was 36 or 37, a little bit more mature. But at whatever time they start dating, psychological studies have shown us that first boyfriend in a girl's life imprints her for the rest of her partners. So then at that point, your father and the character and personality and behavior that he said, sweetie, this is what you need to look for, are going to commingle with the character, personality, and behavior of your first boyfriend, of the girl's first boyfriend. And then from then on, they're going to be looking for that type of partner. So it's very important that, no, I'm not saying don't let them date. I'm saying help them, steer them, influence them to make sure that they pick the right partner, even for their very first boyfriend or their very first dating experience. Okay. And that's why we see the sad situation where a lot of our friends, and I've seen this in my own circle of friends, wonderful, talented, energetic young women who end up always with the wrong guy. And that's either because that's the model that they got from their dad, or that's the model that they got from their very first boyfriend. And it is, our brains are seeking to look for patterns. And this is a pattern that was dictated into our brain by that situation. Are there our fathers or their first partner? So it's very important that we do this. As we said, girls need the example of a father to determine what the character, personality, and behavior of a future mate might be. Their future partner will be a combination of their father and their first significant other. In the absence of fathers, the profile of their future mate is solely determined by their first significant other. So fathers, even if you're in a co-parenting situation, or even if you are in a single parenting situation, and especially if you're in a mom and dad couple situation, we need to really influence really present for our daughters. And look at that situation. You have a dad dancing with this little girl, being a gentleman, not stepping on her toes. The young lady is going to realize that this is the type of man that she wants in her future. Now, Tiffany Lamb raised her hand. Tiffany,
Hi, Dr. Jerry. Thank you for sharing that. I would like to add, though, perhaps outside of a romantic perspective where you're seeking a male partner, the role of the father in the girl's life could easily be extended to how she interacts with male peers and her perspective towards like men in general, not just from a romantic sense, because I think that also limits the experiences of other people who might not be attracted to men.
Exactly, and I'm very sorry that I just kept it to a binary profile here. It does influence all aspects of relationship between whatever the other significant other might be. And in this case, I was having, thank you for bringing that, Tiffany. I had a situation with our father a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking to him about what kind of relationship do you have with your daughter? And she said, oh, well, it's she's just going through that stage where we can't talk to each other. And so we shut each other down. And it's almost like we're always trying to beat each other, beat one over the other. And I said, okay, you're preparing your young lady for either a future parent, or like you said, a future partner, or like you said, a future interaction with the male figure in the future that she has. Any interaction that she'll have with men, you are preparing. Our brains look for that pattern and establish it. It's going to be a kind of combative relationship that I'm going to have with them, or an accepting relationship that I have with them, or they're just going to be overly critical of me. So you're right. It does set him up in a situation where it doesn't set the healthy parameters for interaction. And that's what we want. It's not just romantic, like you mentioned, and thank you for clarifying that, helping me clarify that. It is, how are they going to react to members of the opposite sex, or for that type in the future, in their future endeavors. So we go now to the next slide, which is support dads to be all they can be. How can we do it? It's not easy being a dad. So we can encourage them by start early. I remember when my boys, Pablo and Diego, were growing up, I would always say, by the way, son, make sure when you're a dad, you learn to do this. Or by the way, Diego, make sure that when you're a dad and you have children, learn to practice this. I would point it out in my children. Now they might say, ooh, yucky, girls, oh, wow, partners, future children. I'm not going to have children. I'm never going to get married. That's up to them. But my job is to get you ready for whatever might come your way. My job is to get you ready for when you do have children. How are you going to interact with them, whether you decide to have them or not? So you need to start early. And a lot of parents hold on to their children. They want to hold on to the childhood and say, no, my baby's never going to get married. My baby's never going to leave his mom's side or his dad's side. He's going to be with me all the time. That's just unfortunately not true. It's not going to happen. They do need, the sign of a healthy family is a family that protects their offspring, a family that prepares their offspring, and a family that releases their offspring. We need to learn to release them so that they can then go and make their own life. Now, I always make the joke and tell people, in California, and to drive a car, you need a license. To go fishing, you need a license. To go hunting, you need a license. To be a father, nope, you don't need anything. And that is sad, because it's one of the biggest responsibilities that we as men or father figures will ever have, being fathers, influencing the total and complete life of another person for the rest of their lives. So that's why I put this little graphic on here, a dad joke license, and I like it. 6, apparently he had children, height enough, weight, he's thick, hair, too much, eyes, yes, he does have some. So the whole point is, like, we need to act like what we are gonna start, the endeavor, having children, being a father or a father figure. We need to make sure that we take it seriously enough that we start training ourselves. We start thinking it as, what training, what specialized workshop do I need to go in order to really influence the life of my child and be a good father figure in this child's life. And so we're going to talk a little bit about 24/7 dad at the end, but that's a wonderful place to start. And I got to tell you that as fathers, as dads, as father figures, as that figure in a child's life, there's a lot is afforded to mothers. But little is afforded to fathers. Luckily, in my life, I belong to a couple of groups of fathers that we have supported each other in our practice. And that's the next thing. Practice, practice, practice. Remember, they call it a practice for a reason. We want consistency, not perfection. The next practice is going to be better. The next practice is going to be better. Don't take yourself too seriously. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to need to learn to apologize. One time I was with my son, Pablo, and he had done something, I don't know, a little 9-10-year-old boys do. He dropped something, he broke something, and I try not to raise my voice, but I was frustrated. I was having a bad day at work that day, so I get home and he dropped something. I go, Pablo, how many times do I have to tell you? And I use that tone of voice, the tone of voice that I hate when people use with me. And his head is just getting lower and lower and lower. And then I tell him, so next time, do better, son. And he looks at me and says, sorry, Dad. And then I realized, oh my goodness, that was just a total jerk. I shouldn't have done that. So I asked my son, would you please forgive me? I apologize. I should not have used that tone of voice with you. He looks at me and he broke my heart with what he said. What he said was this: that's okay, Dad. I deserved it. And it broke my heart. Why? Because nobody, no son, no daughter, no wife, no husband, no employee deserves to be ever talked in that manner. Nobody deserves that. We have civility, we have cordiality, but there's no reason to oh my. I am telling you that is okay, that you can expect that.
Dr. Lopez, we seem to be having a little bit of audio issues.
Oh my goodness, terribly sorry.
You can just try and repeat what it is that you just said. Sorry.
Okay, where did I leave off, by the way?
It was like 5 sentences back.
Okay, so I was telling you about my son.
We heard his response to you.
Okay, so his response to me was, that's okay, Dad, I deserve it. And at that point, it broke my heart because I realized what I was doing was I was getting my son ready to be abused in this future. I was getting my son ready to accept that as normal from either a spouse, a friend, a co-worker, general public, or even his boss. And I told him, please forgive me. That is not the way people are supposed to talk to you, not even your father. And I said, next time I do that, please tell me, Dad, you're doing it again. And I will accept that as the cue that I need to ask you, what was I doing again? You were raising your voice. You were using a tone. And I'll accept that from my child if that is the cue that we establish. So keep in mind that as dads, practice, practice, practice. We want consistency, not perfection. And we're going to have to learn to apologize as dads. We're going to have to. All right. So for the visual learner, and this, by the way, is a trick question. Don't worry that children never listen to you. Worry that they're always watching you. Children are always watching us. And that's important, as we can be telling them to do something and be acting the opposite way. So be more worried about not just your character, but also your behavior. What is it that you're doing around your children? Now, one of the things that I said for the visual learner, because I'm not sure if you know, but we about 74% of what we perceive in communication, 74% of what we perceive around the world is through our eyes. And so I crack up when people tell me, I'm a visual learner. I'm all like, yep, we all are. 74%. Our children are also visual learners. So keep that in mind. They are watching you and learning at all times. Now we're almost done with this because we're wrapping up, only a half an hour. How have I impacted them? Well, these are my boys. Okay, that's Pablo on the left, Pablo Ariel Lopez Flores, and that's the good Jerry Lopez in the middle. And that's my son, Diego. Pablo's 26, Diego 17, just graduated last Thursday. And he is Diego Juan Lopez. And how have I impacted them? Let me give you a story. I've always said, to be a good parent, you got to be able to brainwash your kids. Okay, that's our job number one, brainwash our kids. And I went to visit his classroom one day to pick him up. And something that I always tell my boys is the Lopez are this, the Lopez are that. Now, who are the Lopez? Who knows? Who cares? We come from Laredo, Texas, a border town in the, I don't know if you've ever been to Laredo, Texas. It's an ugly little town, but we're very proud. Right? And not just proud on the fact that it's an empty pride, we're proud on our behaviors. And I tell them, the Lopez, we are readers. The Lopez, we're people of the book. The Lopez, we go to school, we learn. The Lopez, we try new foods. The Lopez, we try new cultures. And I like to tell them, the Lopez have a certain expectation. Now, is that true for all Lopez? Probably not, but definitely for our Lopez, okay? And so I've influenced them in this manner. And I go talk to the teacher oh, well, what the heck was that name? And the teacher says, Mr. Lopez, I noticed something about Diego today. And I said, what happened? He goes, do you tell your kids that the Lopez are readers, that the Lopez get good grades? And I said, yeah, I do. Why? Did he get in trouble? He goes, no, he didn't get in trouble. He said, it's just that one of his friends, Anthony Lopez, another Lopez in the class, got a bad grade on his reading test. So I went by and I overheard Diego right on his face going, Anthony, did you forget that the Lopez are readers? The Lopez get good grades? The Lopez try 100%? And I had brainwashed my son so much into thinking that the Lopez were something special that any Lopez that he came across said they certainly must follow the same mantra that we do. That's how I've impacted my children. We have got to prepare them for life. We need to set paths and guidelines and expectation. Yes, about respecting others. Yes, about benefiting others. Yes, about service to others. That's at least my belief. Yes, about making other people's lives better. I always tell them, your job is to increase. Your job is to ascend. Your job is to go higher, but bring others along with you. Of any character, personality, nationality, aspect. Our job is not to judge. Our job is to whoever's in front of them, love them, respect them, and increase their life. I call that brainwashing, but it's a good type of brainwashing. And I'm glad to see that by this story that the teacher shared about Diego, that Diego has learned a lesson. Now, there are studies that show that children who ascend, children who benefit the most from education, from their personal life, from career, are those that feel that there's something special about them, something special about them. So I'm not talking here about having them look down on other people, but they need to know that their purpose is special, that their makeup is special, that their family, their heritage is special. That's the way I've impacted them. Now, this is the way that they have impacted me. These are my trees right here, okay? This is, don't worry, they are wearing reenactor outfits. I'm a historian and I'm a collector, and my children join me in reenacting during World War II exhibitions. Now, this is our very interesting and unique uniforms. These are actually Mexican pilots from the 201st Mexican Aero Squadron that fought in the Philippines in 1945 during World War II. Very known, little known fact, and I think I'm the only traveling museum that actually exhibits them. And my sons joined me by putting on their Mexican uniforms and very proudly joined me in the presentations. It is something that we do together as a family. It is something that we do together as fathers and sons. I cannot tell you how I am filled with joy and proud and respect for my sons. And I hope that one day I've influenced them enough that they can find something that they can do with their own children together. Wonderful fellas. And over here on the left, another proud moment for me. They are kissing each other. Now, I don't know if you recognize that kiss, but that is called a Maori Honji Kiss. All right. Pablo was a little boy. He was about 7 or 8. And I kissed him, and my mom would hate it when I would do this, but they were just so beautiful that I would just kiss him in the mouth. And my mom would say, ooh, that is so unhygienic. I said, I don't care. I love my children. I want to kiss them in the mouth. They would come over with me with their hips puckered up and would kiss. And then I told Pablo one day, son, one day you're going to come down those stairs and you're not going to want to kiss your old man on the mouth. And he says, no, Daddy, I'll always kiss you on the mouth. No, changes are going to come. I said, on that day, I want you to kiss me like the Maori tribesmen kiss themselves. And he said, how do they kiss themselves? And I said, well, when they go into a room and there's a group of men, they will kiss every single man in that room. I said, starting with the oldest and going down to the youngest. And that's the way the Maori of the Pacific kiss each other. And I told him, it's called a Honji Kiss. And this is what it looks like. They put their foreheads and their nose together. And you could kiss your grandmother like that, your mother, your little girlfriend, even President Obama. So everybody kisses like that. And I remember the first day that my boy was coming down the stairs and I puckered up my lips. And what does he do? He touches me on the forehead with his forehead. And that's when I knew this is the change. This is the day that he no longer kisses his dad like a baby anymore. He now kisses his dad like a little boy, like a young man. But I set that parameter for him. And to see them now, this is Diego's graduation last week, to see them honor me, to see them include me, to see them think of me and saying, Dad, you taught us this. Look, we're brothers and we're kissing each other. That's how I've impacted, that's how they've impacted my life. It gives me no end of respect and honor and pride to know that I have boys that care enough for each other. And I've taught them that one of the best things that you can do is love your brother together and show it. Do not be afraid to do that. Now, advice to my child, and this is one of the last slides before we close. Pablo said, thanks. I like this little image right here. Father, someone who will sacrifice his comfort for yours. Yeah, we're not there for our own comforts, dads. I always said, being the job of a father has very bad hours, okay? Has very bad pay. And you don't know if you did a good job until your children grow up, go to college, military, or job, and then they move away and don't come back, okay? If they come back, something went wrong. But it's not for the weak being a father. And so one time I was sitting there having dinner and Pablo was looking at me and said, hey, Dad, I want to thank you. And I said, for what, son? He said, well, for just being who you are. You know, you're such a hard worker and you're very involved. And I just want to thank you, you know, for you have 2 jobs and you're always providing for the family. I said, oh, well, you're welcome, son. I just wanted to give you an example of what a father is. And I said, oh, well, I've learned. I said, well, I think you need to understand this. Being a father is not easy. And I said, you need to be in front of the family. That doesn't mean you are in charge. That means that you're just in front because you're protecting. That means that you have to take care of your mother so she can take care of you. That means that needs or emergencies come up, you're the first one that gets in there. You are supposed to take the stress. You're supposed to take the hits. You're supposed to take it, son, and you're supposed to bear it. And whatever hurts your children will hurt you. Whatever hurts your wife will hurt you. It's not easy. It's not easy being an engaged father. And I said, and you know how we get rewarded, son? You know how we get rewarded? And he said, how, Dad? And I said, we usually die 6 years before the women do. So that's the only reward we're gonna get. It is not for the faint-hearted. It is not for the weak. It is for those who are saying, this job is going to change the rest of my life. And when they're 18, it doesn't end. Now you have to make sure that you're still in their life from a distance, but still be an influence, still be in there to jump in as a father, to protect, to provide, to service. And he looked at me and says, wow, Dad, that's quite a lesson. I said, I know, you'll find out one day. So the last thing that I want to do is then talk to you about the 24/7 Dad. And this is a program that it's a workshop design. It has 10 to 12 sessions. And 24/7 Dad focuses on increasing awareness among fathers about the elements of being a good father. And we talked about communication. We talked about taking care of ourselves. We talked about working and collaborating with our partners, whatever the situation might be. We talked about, among other things, about our health. How men a lot of times don't take care of their health. We talk also about establishing limits, especially at work, and finding a balance of work. So we talked about many of the important things that we need to talk as men. The other thing is not just increase the awareness, increase the knowledge among fathers about the elements of being a good father. And that means this is what it looks like. This is what you can do on a daily, weekly, or monthly session to improve in that area. And then we increase the capacity of skills. The pleasure of doing this sessions in Spanish and English. And I got to tell you, they're very beneficial. Most of the time I hear, why is this not available every single, at every single step of our life? Why is this not available to all fathers? Before I became a father, I should have known this. And so one of the things that we learned is, yes, effective fathers sometimes need to wear makeup, okay? We need to be there for our children. not just financially and putting a roof over their heads, but in every aspect of their life, every aspect that they might need us. We need to learn to be there. And primarily and more importantly, there for our partner, there for our co-partner, there for our co-parent. All right. So that's all that I have for today. I believe we wanted to have a period of questions. If there's any questions, Mercedes, I can field them at this point. Tiffany, you already made a very important point that the influence that we have on our children is not just in a romantic or finding a spouse. It is their interaction with peers, whether it be same gender or differently gendered peers. And it is something that it is pivotal. The influence of the father will be felt in the child's life for their entire life, or the absence of the influence of the father will also be measurable.
I just want to start us off by saying thank you so much, Dr. Lopez, for coming and presenting. This presentation has been very informative for myself and hopefully for everyone else here. One of the things I just wanted to say that really stuck out for me while you're presenting was consistency, not perfection. I know that growing up, or not even growing up, even to this day, really, my husband, I'll tell him, you know, it's not about getting it right, it's about putting in the effort. And I think that stems from my own childhood, and that consistency is something extremely important to me. I tell him, if you're going to be late, send me a text message. If you're not going to be able to show up, just let me know. That's most important to me. So that really stuck with me. Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Lopez before I continue to talk?
Questions, comments, confessions, anything?
I can keep talking. I really enjoyed your presentation. I also really found it interesting that you said you marry your parent, which I can attest is dead on. I always give my husband a lot of, I joke with him a lot that I married my dad. He is very similar, and in the ways that he treats us. My father is a nerd. I'm just gonna throw it out there, but he has always shown very good values towards the way that he treats us, which is something that I was lucky enough to find in my partner, which I value because he will then show our son that. So we have a new baby, and I value the relationship I have with my husband, but I think I value even more the relationship that he has with our son, because he shows what you were saying. He's modeling that behavior for our son. And luckily, our son's not going to have to search for that from the media, which is what you were saying. Do we have any other questions for Dr. Lopez?
I'm thinking, first of all, thank you so much for your presentation. And I could sense your passion for this topic. So can you speak a little bit about some how myths or preconceived notions that people have about fathers, right? That might cause us to prejudge fathers with their kids when we see them at the branch, or programs that the library can do to uplift dads or fathers.
One of the, as I've been working with, I'm doing a series right now called Getting Ready for Kindergarten, and I've been to the Peter Morgan, Campbell. I gotta tell you, most fathers, they have the full capacity. And I think that our society is changing. There were a lot more myths of the strong, stoic, violent type. That's over here, providing, protected by the door. But there is a place, and I think that fathers just, they need a challenge. They need a push. It depends, yeah, and a lot of times it's just a matter of challenging and putting this in front of them. I just finished a 24/7 parent group in Cabrillo, and it was Spanish. And all of these people were like, they work on the fields, they drive tractors, they do the cars, they do the construction, big burly type guys. And we started talking about emotions and children and love. And I got to tell you, they just opened up. They felt safe. And they opened up, and I realized that they told me my life will never be the same again. I would challenge them day to day. When was the last time you told your children that you loved them? When was the last time that you came together to your wife and saying, honey, how can I help you, your partner? And some of them were in co-parenting situations. Some of them were in single father situations. So I think that I think the biggest myth that we have to dispel is that fathers can't do this. Fathers cannot be engaged. Fathers cannot be loving. They cannot be attuned. They cannot be, engaged in anything from let me help you with your studies to let me help you with your character building. And they're waiting to be vulnerable. And I think it's they just need a push, the challenge, the expectation, the invitation to do so.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Victoria.
Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, from all the parameters that you set as being a dad, and we're just picking back off the idea of the media and the preconceived notions, is there any representations in the media, such as TV or film, that you have seen kind of makes like a perfect dad or close to that?
Oh my goodness, I haven't thought of that. Because if you look at the 50s and 60s, they were so stylized. And then when you started looking at the, I think post-civil rights, 80s, 90s, and even into the present day, they were so cartoonish and almost ridiculized. That I would not, Uli says, look at the media for a good representation. I'm trying to figure out if there's any good movies or I mean, I read a lot. I'm trying to figure out. Anybody have like want to throw something up? What about this guy? What about?
In my mind, I'm thinking of we're human beings, and as long as we're human beings, we'll never be perfect. That we're all evolving and that we're all learning whatever role we find ourselves in, right? A father, a mother, an aunt, a partner, whatever we find our role in. But the power of opening up and being willing to learn and grow and think differently, whether you're a father, an uncle, a brother, yeah. So I would look at the trait of a father I would want to emulate or see more of based on their openness to learn and grow and, acknowledge their faults and their successes, just showing their human side. Yeah.
So we had a few suggestions in the chat to answer Ulysses' question. Our librarian here suggested The Pursuit of Happiness to show maybe a father that doesn't have it together or doesn't know the best parenting strategies necessarily, but someone who continued to strive to improve the life of him and his son.
You know what? And Tiffany, thank you for Darth Vader. A movie just came to mind. If this is, it has a Mexican actor in it. It's called A Better Life. A Better Life. And this is about an illegal immigrant father who works construction and tree cutting. And it just shows this very admirable man who's trying his best in the most of austere situations. So Uli says, look it up, A Better Life. Have you seen it? Okay.
If you watch it with some tissues.
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I'll watch it, Mercedes. I haven't seen it.
It's got to be in the library somewhere. All right,
that movie is available in the Family Learning Center collection. So you can find it at one of the FLC branches.
Yes.
I haven't seen it. The movie that came to mind to me was Ladri di Bicicletti. It was a film by Vittorio De Sica. It's an Italian film. It's about a father who just gets a job and then his son is also working as well, but he needs a bicycle in order to complete this job. And without the bicycle, he can't work, so he spends a whole day with his son looking for this bicycle. But you see these interactions, a lot of what you mentioned in your presentation, Dr. Lopez, on how, the fathers are also human and how we are supposed to show them, kind of pave the way. And then there's just like this breaking point as well at the end too. So that's why I was asking, because I saw that film and it was like a really, really close human interaction between that. And but yeah, thank you for all the suggestions.
Good. I'll have to look at that one. Alrighty.
Bicycle Thieves in English.
Bicycle things. Okay. Everybody, unfortunately, I need to move on to another meeting. My full day is my day is just going crazy. So thank you, everybody. Laura, for your comment, Mercedes Diaz. I need to bid farewell. So it was a pleasure meeting all of you guys. And I will look at that movie. And yes, I will look at the character.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you
Lopez.
so much,
for joining
Dr.
us today.
Lopez.
We are so thankful to have you. And for everybody, join us next week for Community Connection Hour. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you.